The massive assembly hall floated in the darkness of space, orbiting the neutral world of Axios Prime. Inside, hundreds of alien species gathered under the crystalline dome. Their voices echoed through the chamber as they argued, debated, and made decisions that shaped the galaxy. Today, they were supposed to make history. Today, they were supposed to grant humanity its place among the stars. Ambassador Hyan Wu sat perfectly still in the human delegation section. His dark suit was immaculate, his face calm. But his hands, hidden beneath the table, were clenched into fists. Around him, his team of diplomats waited in silence. They had been waiting for 6 months. High Chancellor Mothrax stood at the center podium, his crystalline body reflecting the light from 1,000 screens. He was ancient, powerful, and completely unconcerned with human suffering. His voice boomed through the chamber like thunder. The Galactic Council has reviewed the human petition for sovereign recognition. We have considered your requests for protection under galactic law. After much deliberation, we offer humanity a solution. Hyan Wu leaned forward slightly. This was it. 6 months of negotiation, 6 months of pleading, 6 months of trying to make these aliens understand that humans deserve basic rights and protection. Humanity will be granted provisional protectorate status, Mothrax continued. Your military forces will be dissolved and integrated into the Council Defense Fleet. Your colony worlds will accept Council governors to ensure proper development. Your species will be guided by the wisdom of elder races until you are ready for full independence. The words hit like a hammer. Hyan Wu's jaw tightened. They were being asked to surrender, to become pets of the Galactic Council, to give up everything that made humanity free. Council of Renix, an arthropod creature with too many legs and clicking mandibles, added his voice. This is a generous offer. Most species wait centuries for even provisional status. You should be grateful we acknowledge you at all. Before Hyan Wu could respond, his communication device buzzed urgently. He glanced down at the screen and felt his blood turn to ice. The message was short, brutal, and changed everything. New Bizon colony under attack. Krell forces. 2 million casualties. Colony destroyed. New Bizon. A peaceful farming world where families grew food and built homes. Where children played in fields under an orange sun. Where 2 million people had been living their lives just hours ago. Hyan Wu stood slowly. The chamber fell silent. Every alien eye turned toward him. Ambassador Hyan Wu, Mothrax said, with barely concealed irritation. We have not finished presenting our offer. I have just received news, Hyan Wu said, his voice steady despite the rage burning in his chest. The Krell Dominion has attacked New Bizon colony. 2 million human civilians are dead. A murmur ran through the chamber. Some aliens looked surprised. Others looked uncomfortable. Many looked completely indifferent. The Krell ambassador, a massive reptilian creature named Thaxul, rose from his seat. His teeth were visible in what might have been a smile. A regrettable border dispute. These things happen in the expansion zones. Surely the Council understands that territory must be claimed and defended. Hyan Wu turned to face Thaxul. His voice was cold, colder than the void of space outside. You murdered 2 million civilians. You attacked farmers, teachers, children. There were no military targets on New Bizon. Thaxul shrugged, his scales rippling. Then perhaps humanity should not place civilians in contested space. The weak do not survive long in this galaxy. The chamber exploded with debate. Some counselors demanded investigations. Others suggested committees. A few proposed strongly worded statements of concern. Not one of them called for action. Not one of them demanded justice. Hyan Wu watched them argue and debate and discuss. He watched them treat the deaths of 2 million humans as a mere inconvenience. He watched them prove beyond any doubt that humanity would never find justice in this chamber. He turned to his delegation. They all knew what he was thinking. They had discussed this possibility during the long months of negotiations. They had prepared for this moment, hoping it would never come. "Pack your things," Haiyan-Wu said quietly. "We're leaving?" His team began gathering their materials. The arguing in the chambers slowly died down as the aliens realized what was happening. "Ambassador Haiyan-Wu," Mothrax said, his voice sharp with authority, "you cannot simply leave. We are in the middle of negotiations." Haiyan-Wu walked toward the exit. His team followed. Every human in the chamber moved as one, their footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. "Ambassador!" Mothrax shouted. "The council has not dismissed you." Haiyan-Wu stopped at the door. He turned back to face the assembled aliens one last time. When he spoke, his voice carried to every corner of the vast chamber. "Humanity came to you in peace. We asked for recognition, for protection, for simple justice under your laws. We asked you to help us stop those who murder our people. You offered us chains instead. You offered us servitude. And when our people died, you called it regrettable." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Humanity withdraws from these proceedings. We consider diplomatic solutions exhausted. We came seeking peace through law. You have shown us that your laws do not protect us, that your justice does not apply to us, that your peace is only for those you deem worthy." Vrenix's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. "And what will you do, human? Your species is barely 2 centuries into space travel. You have no allies, no power, no way to enforce your wishes. You need us far more than we need you." Haiyan-Wu smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "We needed you to be better than you are. We needed you to care about justice and life. We were wrong. We won't make that mistake again." He walked out. The doors closed behind the human delegation with a heavy boom. Captain Ji-Wan was waiting in the docking bay with the human ships. She was a sharp woman in a military uniform, her eyes hard with barely controlled anger. She had heard about New Bizin. She had been waiting for orders. Haiyan-Wu approached her and pulled out his secure communication device. He entered a code that he had hoped never to use. The message was encrypted and brief. "Protocol Valkyrie." They had their chance. The message was sent simultaneously to Earth, to every human colony, to every human military installation across known space. Within seconds, responses came back. Acknowledgements, confirmations, the machinery of war beginning to turn. "Get everyone to the ships," Haiyan-Wu said. "We're leaving this system immediately." Ji-Wan nodded. "And then?" "And then we show them what happens when you murder human children and call it regrettable." The human ships departed from the station in perfect formation. Behind them, in the council chamber, the aliens continued their debate. Vrenix was laughing, explaining to the others how humanity had just made a foolish mistake, how they would come crawling back within weeks, how primitive species always needed guidance from their betters. High Chancellor Mothrax agreed. "Let them leave. They will learn that the galaxy is dangerous for those without protection. They will return and accept our generous offer, or they will fade into extinction like so many other small species before them." Only Councillor Drex, a moderate voice among the aliens, looked worried. What if they don't come back? What if they decide to handle the Krell situation themselves? Vrenix's laughter echoed through the chamber. Then they will die quickly instead of slowly. Either way, the problem resolves itself. None of them understood what they had just done. None of them knew that humanity had spent 6 months preparing for this exact outcome. None of them realized that while they had been debating and delaying, human scientists and engineers had been building weapons that the galaxy had never imagined. The human ships jumped to faster than light speed, disappearing into the void. In the quiet of his quarters aboard the flagship, Haiyan Wu looked at images from New Bizen, homes burning, fields scorched, memorials being planned for 2 million dead. He had tried peace. He had believed in diplomacy. He had thought that reason and law could protect his people. He had been wrong. Now humanity would protect itself. And the galaxy would learn a lesson written in fire and blood. Never mistake human patience for human weakness. Admiral Taijin stood in the command center deep beneath Earth's surface. Around him, screens displayed every human colony, every ship, every military installation scattered across dozens of star systems. His weathered face showed no emotion as he watched the reports flow in. The Council thought humanity was running away. They were about to learn how wrong they were. All fleets report ready status. His communications officer said. Taijin nodded slowly. He had spent 30 years preparing for this moment, hoping it would never come. He had fought in the colony wars, had seen humans turn on each other over resources and ideology. He knew what his species was capable of when pushed. The galaxy was about to learn the same lesson. Activate all contingency protocols, he ordered. Begin Phase 1 of Operation Valkyrie. Across human space, military bases that had appeared dormant suddenly came to life. Hidden shipyards released vessels that had been built in secret. Weapon systems that Earth had never demonstrated to the Galactic Council powered up for the first time. Humanity had not been idle during 6 months of fruitless negotiations. On Mars, Dr. Minji watched her life's work being loaded onto military transport ships. The Prometheus project had been her dream, her hope for defending humanity against external threats. She had created weapons based on theories that alien species had dismissed as impossible. Quantum disruption technology that could tear apart molecular bonds. AI tactical networks that could predict enemy movements before they happened. And the crown jewel, Project Thanatos, a weapon that could make stars themselves into instruments of war. She felt sick watching military personnel handle her creations. Her assistant, a young man named Kyungmin, noticed her expression. "Doctor, are you okay?" "I built these to protect us," Minji said quietly. "I told myself they would never be used, that just having them would be enough to keep us safe. I was naive." "The Krell killed 2 million people on New Bizen," Kyungmin reminded her. "And the Council did nothing. What choice do we have?" Minji had no answer. She just watched as her weapons of mass destruction were prepared for deployment. Lieutenant Sunho sat in the cockpit of his fighter, running through the pre-flight checklist for the 100th time. His hands moved across the controls with practiced ease, but his heart was pounding. He was 26 years old and had never seen real combat. Now he was about to pilot an experimental fighter that could outmaneuver anything the galaxy had ever built. The fighter was small, fast, and equipped with weapons that bent the laws of physics. It could accelerate faster than any alien ship, turn sharper, and hit harder. The alien species had laughed when they saw early human fighter designs, calling them inefficient and primitive. They had not seen these new models. No one outside the military had. "Delta Squadron, prepare for launch," the commander's voice crackled over the radio. "This is not a drill. We deploy in 30 minutes. Sunho took a deep breath and strapped himself in. His parents had moved to New Bizen 5 years ago. He had not been able to reach them since the attack. He did not know if they were alive or among the 2 million dead. Either way, he was going to make the Krell pay. On the bridge of the flagship Indomitable, Captain Jiwon reviewed the tactical displays. Her fleet consisted of 50 warships, fast and armed with weapons the Galactic Council had never seen humans use. They were not the largest force humanity had, but they were the most mobile. Their mission was simple and brutal. "Captain, we have our target coordinates," her tactical officer reported. "Krell Supply Depot at the Xerxes system. It's their primary fuel and ammunition hub for this entire sector. Jiwan smiled coldly. The Council thinks we'll attack military targets and play by their rules of engagement. They're wrong. Warfare isn't about honor. It's about winning. And to win against the Krell, we need to break their ability to wage war. Helm, plot a course. Maximum speed. Across the galaxy, similar conversations were happening on other human ships. Unlike the aliens, who fought according to ancient traditions and codes of honor, humans had learned their military doctrine through centuries of total war against themselves. They knew how to strike at supply lines, how to use psychological warfare, how to make enemies afraid to fight. The Krell Dominion had no idea what was coming. Warlord Thaxul reclined in his command chamber on the Krell homeworld, satisfied with the day's events. The humans had fled the Council like frightened children. Soon, their colonies would be easy pickings. The Krell would expand their territory, and the weakling species would be scattered to the void. His communication officer entered, looking nervous. Warlord, we have reports of human fleet movements. Let them move, Thaxul growled. They're probably running back to Earth with their tails between their legs. Inform our raiding fleets to accelerate their operations. I want 3 more human colonies attacked within the week. Yes, Warlord. Thaxul did not know that human intelligence had already intercepted that conversation. He did not know that his supply depot at Xerxes was about to disappear. He did not know that humanity's response would not be proportional or measured. It would be absolute. Back on Earth, Admiral Taijin received reports from his intelligence network. The Krell were planning more attacks. They thought humanity was beaten. Perfect. Sir, all fleets report ready, his chief of staff said. First Strike Fleet is in position. Stealth teams have infiltrated Krell communications networks. We can hit them across a dozen systems simultaneously. Not yet, Taijin said. Let them make one more attack. Let them think they're winning. Then we show them what human warfare really looks like. He pulled up a holographic display of Krell space. Red markers showed military installations. Yellow markers showed supply lines. Green markers showed civilian centers. He studied them for a long moment, then began marking targets. These supply depots go first. No Krell ship flies without fuel. Then we hit their communications relays, make them blind and deaf. After that, we broadcast evidence of their war crimes to every species in the galaxy. Let everyone see what they did on New Bizen. What about their military fleets? His chief of staff asked. Taijin's smile was grim. We let them mobilize. Let them gather their forces and feel powerful. Then, Lieutenant Sunho's fighter squadron shows them that all their dreadnoughts and battleships are just expensive targets. Around Earth's solar system, defense platforms activated. These were not the simple orbital weapons the Galactic Council knew about. These were quantum beam arrays capable of destroying entire fleets. Humanity had built them in secret, disguising them as commercial stations and research facilities. Dr. Minji arrived at the Admiral's command center. She looked exhausted, like she had not slept in days. Taijin greeted her with a nod. Doctor, is Project Thanatos ready? It's ready, she said quietly. But Admiral, please understand what you're asking. That weapon can destabilize a star. It can kill billions. It's genocide in a bottle. I know what it is, Taijin said, and I pray we never have to use it. But the Krell need to know it exists. They need to know that if they push humanity to the edge, we have the power to take them with us. This isn't who we are, Minji protested. We're supposed to be better than this. Taijin turned to face her, his eyes hard. We tried being better. We tried diplomacy and peace. They killed 2 million of us and laughed about it. Now we show them the monster they created. Before Minji could respond, Alarms blared throughout the command center. New reports flooded in. The Krell had just attacked 2 more human outposts. Smaller targets this time, only a few thousand dead. Testing humanity's response, Taijin watched the casualty reports scroll across his screen. Each number was a person. Someone's child, parent, friend? Gone, because the galaxy's so-called civilization could not be bothered to stop it. He opened a galaxy-wide channel to all human military forces. This is Admiral Taijin. The time for restraint is over. The Krell have declared war on humanity through their actions. The Galactic Council has abandoned us through their inaction. We stand alone, but we do not stand weak. As of this moment, Operation Valkyrie is fully active. Show no mercy to those who showed none to our families. Make them regret ever hearing the name of Earth. Make them fear the word human. All fleets, you are weapons free. Execute your missions. Across human space, ships jump to faster-than-light speed. Heading not toward Earth, not running away, but vectoring toward Krell space with weapons armed and crews ready for battle. Lieutenant Sunho launched from his carrier, along with his entire squadron. His fighter's engines burned bright as he accelerated to combat speed. Through his cockpit window, he could see dozens of other squadrons launching. The biggest military operation in human history was underway. The Krell. Dominion was about to learn that humans did not fight like other species. They did not follow rules of engagement. They did not respect battlefield conventions. When pushed to war, humans fought with everything they had, and they fought to win. Warlord Thaxul would learn this lesson soon. His boast about hunting humans would haunt him, because the prey had become the predator, and the hunt was about to go very badly for the Krell. Captain G1's fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Xerxes system. The Krell supply depot hung in space ahead of them, a massive orbital complex that fueled every Krell warship in 3 sectors. It was defended by automated weapons platforms and a garrison fleet of 20 ships. The Krell believed it was impregnable. They were wrong. Tactical status report, G1 ordered from her command chair. Scanning now, Captain. 23 Krell vessels, multiple defense platforms, and significant orbital infrastructure. They're detecting us and moving to intercept. Good. Let them come. Helm, position us here. Make it look like we're unsure what to do. I want them confident. The Krell garrison fleet moved forward, their ships large and intimidating, designed to make enemies retreat before a shot was fired. Through the communication channel, a Krell commander's voice growled threats and demands for surrender. G1 ignored the words. She was watching her tactical display, counting down silently. 3 human ships broke from her formation, apparently in panic. They turned and ran. The Krell laughed over the open channel. Cowards. This is what happens when you challenge your betters. Then, the 3 fleeing ships vanished in bursts of faster-than-light jumps. Not away from the battle. Into it, they reappeared behind the Krell fleet, weapons already firing. Quantum disruption beams tore through shields that were designed to stop conventional weapons. Krell ships exploded before they could turn to face the new threat. At the same moment, Lieutenant Sunho's fighter squadron dropped out of stealth mode. They had been there all along, invisible to Krell sensors, waiting for the signal. 12 tiny fighters against 20 massive warships. The Krell probably thought it was suicide. Sunho's fighter moved like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. It twisted through space at impossible angles, its engines defying physics as humans understood them. His weapons locked onto a Krell destroyer's exposed reactor and fired. The destroyer split in half, spilling atmosphere and crew into the void. Delta Squadron, spread out and engage, Sunho commanded. Remember your training. Fast, precise, and ruthless. His pilots responded with acknowledgments. Each fighter engaged independently, dancing through the Krell formation like sharks among whales. The alien ships tried to track them, but human reflexes enhanced by neural interfaces made the pilots too fast. One by one, Krell ships fell silent. G1 watched the battle unfold with satisfaction. Target the supply depot. I want it completely destroyed. Leave nothing they can salvage. Her ships opened fire on the orbital complex. It was not a military target in the traditional sense. It held fuel, ammunition, supplies. No Krell civilians would die here. But without it, the entire Krell war machine in this region would grind to a halt. The complex exploded in a series of brilliant flashes. Years of stockpiled resources gone in minutes. The Krell fleet's reinforcements would arrive to find nothing but debris. While the battle raged at Xerxes, Commander Yunji and her stealth team were already deep in Krell territory. Her ship, a specialized infiltration vessel, had slipped past defenses that the Krell thought were secure. They had no idea humans had spent months mapping their networks and finding every weakness. "We're in their central communications hub," Yunji reported to her team. "Kyung-soo, can you access their archives?" Her technical specialist worked quickly at the alien computer systems. "Yes, Commander. Their security is good, but they didn't account for human creativity. I'm bypassing their protocols now." Within minutes, they had access to everything. Military communications, orders from Warlord Thaksul, and most importantly, recordings from the attacks on human colonies. The Krell had documented everything, proud of their conquests. "Download it all," Yunji ordered. "Every image, every order, every boast about killing civilians. The galaxy is going to see exactly what the Krell are." While her team worked, Unji set up a transmitter, not just to human space, to everyone. She was about to broadcast across the entire Galactic Communications Network, a Meridian Station, a neutral trading hub where a dozen species mingled and conducted business. The normal flow of commerce was interrupted. Every screen, every display, every communication device suddenly showed the same thing. Human faces appeared, speaking calmly but firmly. "Citizens of the galaxy, we are humanity. You know us as the species seeking recognition from the Galactic Council. Today, we show you why we came seeking protection under galactic law." Then the images changed. Footage from New Bizon, Krell soldiers firing on unarmed civilians, children running, families trying to protect each other, the systematic destruction of homes, schools, hospitals. 2 million people dying while the Krell recorded their victory. The broadcast continued. "We brought this evidence to the Galactic Council. We asked for justice. We were told it was regrettable. We were offered subjugation instead of protection. So now we seek justice ourselves." More footage followed. The attack on Xerxes. Krell ships exploding. The supply depot destroyed. Human fighters moving through space like avenging angels. This is war. Not because we wanted it. Because the Krell forced it upon us and the Council allowed it. We will not stop until every species understands this. Human lives have value. Human children are not acceptable casualties. And anyone who thinks otherwise will learn this lesson the hard way. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings had just witnessed something unprecedented. The Krell exposed as brutal killers. Humanity revealed as far more dangerous than anyone suspected. A Meridian Station, a merchant named Jian sat in stunned silence. He had traded with humans before, found them friendly, curious, eager to learn. He had thought them harmless. Now he watched footage of human weapons tearing apart ships that were supposed to be invincible. A Velkaran trader sitting nearby whispered, "What have we allowed to happen?" The Council let this start. The Council ignored them. "They're not going to stop," Jian said quietly. "Look at their fighters. Look at their weapons. They've been preparing for war while pretending to seek peace. Can you blame them? Another merchant asked. The Krell have killed millions of humans. The council did nothing. What would your species do? No one had an answer. They just watched the screens, realizing that the balance of galactic power had just shifted. Back at the Xerxes system, the last Krell ship surrendered. Captain G1 allowed them to evacuate in escape pods. She was not interested in unnecessary killing. She was interested in sending a message, broadcasting on all Krell military frequencies. Her communications officer said G1 spoke clearly, knowing her words would be recorded and repeated across Krell space. This is Captain G1 of the Human Defense Fleet. You attacked our colonies. You killed our families. You thought we were weak. You were wrong. This is the first of many strikes. We will not stop until you surrender those responsible for war crimes, pay reparations for every human life taken, and withdraw from all human territories. Refuse, and we will dismantle your entire military infrastructure piece by piece. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. Well done, everyone. But this is just the beginning. Helm, set course for the Krell communication relay at Gamma 7. We're going to make them blind and deaf. Lieutenant Sunho docked his fighter back on the carrier. His hands were shaking slightly from adrenaline. He had destroyed 3 Krell ships personally. His squadron had performed perfectly. No losses, complete success. But as he climbed out of his cockpit, he felt empty. His parents were still missing, likely dead. This victory would not bring them back. Nothing would dot his squadron commander approached. Good work out there, Sunho. Best flying I've ever seen. Thank you, sir. Your parents were on New Bizen, weren't they? Sunho nodded, not trusting his voice. The commander put a hand on his shoulder. Then you know why we're doing this. Not for revenge. For justice. So no one else has to lose their family while the galaxy looks away. Sunho took a deep breath. How many more missions? As many as it takes. The Krell have a fleet mobilizing to defend their core worlds. When they arrive, we'll be waiting. And we'll show them that human pilots are worth 100 of theirs. On the Krell homeworld, Warlord Daxul received the reports with disbelief. Xerxes destroyed. 24 ships lost. Human weapons that should not exist. Fighter pilots who moved like demons. And worst of all, his war crimes broadcast to the entire galaxy. His advisors cowered before him as he raged. How did they do this? They're primitives. They barely have space travel. Warlord, one advisor said carefully. Perhaps we underestimated them. Their technology is more advanced than we thought. And their tactics are unlike anything we've encountered. Then we crushed them with numbers. Daxul roared. Mobilize the main fleet. I want every ship we have moving toward human space. We will burn Earth to ash and show the galaxy what happens to species who defy the Krell. The advisors scrambled to obey. Within hours, the largest Krell fleet ever assembled began moving toward human territory. 300 warships, every one of them a match for anything humans had shown in open battle. Daxul was confident this would end the conflict. He did not know that this was exactly what Admiral Taijin wanted. He did not know that humans had studied Krell military doctrine for months and knew exactly how they would respond. He did not know that his fleet was sailing into a trap. The Krell fleet moved through space like a hammer falling. 300 warships in perfect formation, enough firepower to conquer entire sectors. Warlord Daxul stood on the bridge of his flagship, confident that this display of force would crush the human uprising. He had sent a message to the Galactic Council, expecting their support or at least their neutrality. What he received instead shocked him. One by one, Council species that had previously supported Krell expansion announced they were withdrawing that support. They cited the broadcast showing Krell war crimes. They mentioned growing public anger at the slaughter of human civilians. Some simply said they could no longer be associated with genocide. Thaxwul roared in frustration. Cowards. They fear the humans now. They see a few destroyed supply depots and think humanity is dangerous. Wait until I bring them the ashes of Earth. But he was wrong. The Council species did not withdraw support because of destroyed supply depots. They withdrew because they were afraid of becoming targets themselves. Humanity had shown capabilities that intelligence reports said they should not possess. And humans were broadcasting a simple message to every species in the galaxy. Stay out of this, or join the Krell in facing our wrath. On Earth, Ambassador Yuna prepared for her mission. She was younger than Haiyan Wu but harder, forged by growing up on colony worlds that constantly faced threats. Where Haiyan Wu had tried diplomacy with patience, Yuna would use diplomacy as a weapon. She arrived at the Galactic Council station on a human warship bristling with weapons. Not trying to hide their military power anymore, letting every species see exactly what humanity had built while the Council debated. Hi. Chancellor Mothrax received her in the same chamber where Haiyan Wu had walked out weeks before. The Council looked nervous now. They had watched the broadcasts. They had seen the Krell supply depots destroyed and Krell ships broken. They were starting to understand their mistake. Ambassador Yuna, Mothrax said, trying to sound authoritative. We are pleased that humanity has reconsidered and returned to negotiate. Yuna's laugh was cold. Reconsider? No, Chancellor. I'm not here to negotiate. I'm here to deliver terms. The council chamber erupted in angry voices. How dare humanity dictate terms to them? They were the established powers of the galaxy. Humans were newcomers. YUNA waited for silence, then spoke clearly. Humanity demands formal recognition as a sovereign power with full rights under galactic law. We demand the Krell leadership be turned over to face trial for war crimes. We demand reparations for every human life lost. And we demand a new treaty guaranteeing that all species have the right to maintain military forces for self-defense without council interference. This is extortion. Rennick shouted. You cannot dictate terms to the Galactic Council. Call it what you want, Yuna replied. You had 6 months to give us justice through your laws. You chose bureaucracy over our dead. You offered us chains when we asked for protection. Now you'll give us justice through strength, or you'll learn what humanity does to empires that murder our people and face no consequences. She pulled up a holographic display. It showed Krell space. Red markers appeared on dozens of worlds. These are targets we can strike within the next week. Military installations, supply centers, communication networks. We can cripple the Krell Dominion completely. But we won't stop there if necessary. Mothrax leaned forward, his crystalline body glowing with anger. You threaten war against the entire council? No, Yuna said calmly. We simply state facts. Any species that supports the Krell, that provides them aid or comfort, will be considered complicit in their crimes. We will respond accordingly. You have 1 week to meet our demands. She turned and left the chamber. Behind her, the council descended into chaos. Some demanded immediate action against humanity. Others begged for caution. A few quietly began calculating what it would cost to meet human demands versus what it would cost to fight them. While the council argued, Archivist Palcor worked in the vast libraries beneath the station. He was an ancient being, one of the oldest counselors, tasked with maintaining records of every species the council had encountered. He had been reviewing Earth's history files since the broadcast began. What he found terrified him. Humans had fought thousands of wars against themselves. They had developed tactics and strategies over millennia of constant conflict. They had survived ice ages, plagues, near-extinction events, both natural and self-inflicted. They had built nuclear weapons and aimed them at their own cities, living for decades under the threat of total annihilation, and they had not destroyed themselves. They had survived. United when facing external threats, Pelkor brought his findings to the Council during their emergency session. He displayed Earth's history on screens around the chamber. "Do you see?" he said, his voice heavy with concern. "Humanity is an extinction survivor species. They have faced the end of their world dozens of times and adapted. They know how to fight when the odds are impossible because they have done it for their entire history." He showed images of human wars. "And they have never, not once, forgiven those who target their young. Every human culture throughout history has one universal rule. Children are protected above all else. The Krell killed millions of human children. The Council dismissed it as regrettable. We created an enemy that will not stop, will not compromise, and will not forgive until justice is served." Councillor Drex spoke up. "What do you recommend?" "Meet their demands," Pelkor said simply. "All of them, immediately, before they demonstrate more of their military capability. Because I have reviewed their technology files, and I believe they are still hiding weapons we have not seen." "Impossible!" Rennick shouted. "We cannot bow to threats from a species barely 2 centuries in space." "Then you will die fighting them," Pelkor said bluntly, "and likely take many other species with you. I have studied thousands of civilizations. Humanity is unique in its combination of technological innovation, adaptability, and absolute refusal to accept defeat. They will burn the galaxy rather than kneel to those who murdered their people." The Council continued debating. Meanwhile, in Krell space, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. The massive fleet Thaxalu had assembled was being bled constantly by human hit-and-run attacks. They would jump into a system, destroy a support ship or supply convoy, then vanish before Krell forces could respond. Lieutenant Sunho had flown 16 combat missions in 3 days, each one successful, each one pushing Krell forces closer to collapse. His squadron had become legendary, called the Ghost Hunters by terrified Krull crews who could not track them on sensors. General Daho, commander of human ground forces, had a different mission. He positioned invasion fleets near Krell colonies, not to attack but to force the Krell to divide their forces. Every Krell ship guarding a colony was one less ship in their main fleet, but the real demonstration was yet to come. Dr. Minji stood in the command center as Admiral Taijin prepared to activate Project Thanatos. Not against the Krell homeworld. That would be genocide. Instead, they had chosen a target that would demonstrate the weapon's power without mass casualties. "Target is the automated mining facility on Krell Moon 7, Minji reported. "No sentient life forms present. Just machinery and robots." "Do it," Taijin ordered. The weapon fired from a human ship positioned light hours away. A beam of energy that bent space-time itself, traveling faster than light, hitting the moon's local star. The star pulsed with violent energy, washing the moon in lethal radiation. Every piece of equipment on the moon was instantly destroyed. The broadcast to Krell space was simple. "This is Admiral Taijin. We have just demonstrated Project Thanatos. This weapon can make your son kill your world. Surrender now. Hand over those responsible for war crimes, or your homeworld is next. You have 24 hours. The effect was instantaneous. The Krell population panicked. Their government received millions of messages demanding surrender. Their military began to fragment as officers questioned whether following Thaxul was worth extinction. On the Krell homeworld, Thaxul watched his authority collapse. His own generals were refusing orders. His fleet was demoralized and bleeding ships every hour. His people were rioting in the streets, demanding he surrender before humanity destroyed their sun. We could still fight, he roared at his advisors. We could still. An explosion rocked the command center. Krell soldiers, acting on their own, had decided to end this. They stormed the room and seized Thaxul and his closest allies, the military leadership responsible for ordering the attacks on human colonies. A new Krell commander, a general named Voxtel, took control. He immediately sent a message to Admiral Taijin. We surrender. Warlord Daxul and those responsible for the colony attacks are in custody. We await instructions for their transfer to human authority. Please, do not destroy our sun. We were following orders, and those who gave those orders are now your prisoners. Taijin watched the message and nodded slowly. Signal the fleet. Cease offensive operations. Maintain defensive positions. Inform Ambassador Yuna that the Krell have capitulated. But even as the Krell situation resolved, new problems emerged. Intelligence reports showed that 3 powerful council species had been holding secret meetings. Fleet Admiral Bora stood on the bridge of the defense station orbiting Earth. She was 50 years old, gray-haired, and had spent her entire career preparing for an invasion that she prayed would never come. Now it was here. Her sensors showed thousands of ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. The Velkar Empire, the Drexian Alliance, the Nomian Collective, 3 of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, united under High Chancellor Mothrax himself. They had come to crush humanity and restore galactic order. How long until they reach Earth? Bora asked her tactical officer. At current speed, 6 hours. 6 hours. Bora looked at the defensive fleet under her command. 300 ships against 3,000. Impossible odds by any calculation. But humanity had faced impossible odds before. Evacuate all civilian populations to the deep shelters, she ordered. Abandon the orbital habitats. Every ship and station that isn't military needs to get out of the system now. This is going to get ugly. Across Earth, billions of people moved into massive underground complexes built over decades. Cities emptied in orderly evacuations, practiced 100 times. Humanity had learned from its own history. When war came to your home, you protected the vulnerable first. High Chancellor Mothrax broadcast from his flagship. His voice was transmitted to every screen on Earth, meant to demoralize and frighten. Humans, your rebellion ends today. Surrender now. Dissolve your military and accept council authority. Resist, and we will reduce your world to ash. You have 1 hour to comply. Admiral Taijin, watching from Earth's command center, smiled coldly. He opened a return channel. Chancellor, you have made a terrible mistake. You come to Earth thinking we are trapped here. You are wrong. You are trapped here with us. Then he gave orders that changed everything. Execute Protocol Ragnarok. All fleets execute simultaneously. At that moment, dozens of human fleets that had been positioned throughout the galaxy activated. They did not come to defend Earth. They appeared at the homeworlds of every species in the attacking coalition. Captain G1's fleet materialized in orbit above the Velkar homeworld. She opened communications to the billions of Velkar below. This is Captain G1 of the Human Defense Fleet. Your government has sent an invasion force to Earth. If they attack our homeworld, we will respond in kind. Not against your military, against your sun. We have the power to destroy it. Withdraw your forces from Earth immediately, or you will face extinction. You have 1 hour. Similar messages were delivered to the Drexian and Nomian homeworlds. Human fleets, equipped with Project Thanatos weapons, positioned themselves to carry out the threat. Not an idle threat. A promise. The populations of these worlds panicked. They had not been told their governments were planning to attack Earth. They had not agreed to risk extinction. Within minutes, billions of civilians were flooding their governments with demands to withdraw. In the Earth system, Fleet Admiral Bora did not wait for the enemy to attack. Her ships moved forward in formations that made no sense to traditional military doctrine. They were not trying to win a fleet battle. They were trying to buy time while the political situation resolved. All ships, weapons free, Bora ordered. Remember, we don't need to destroy them all. We just need to make them bleed. Make them afraid. Show them that even if they win here, the cost will be devastating. The human ships opened fire with weapons that violated every galactic convention on warfare. Quantum bombs that tore apart shields. Relativistic missiles that hit with the force of nuclear weapons. AI-controlled drones that learned enemy patterns in real time and adapted. A Velkar dreadnought, designed to withstand entire fleet battles, took 3 quantum bombs and split apart. Nomian carriers launched fighters, only to watch them destroyed by Lieutenant Sunho's squadron in minutes. Drexian battleships tried to advance and ran into mines that bent spacetime itself, trapping them in slow-motion fields. Humanity was losing ships. Dozens destroyed in the first hour. But they were taking alien vessels at a 3-to-1 ratio. The alien fleet had superior numbers, but human weapons and tactics were making those numbers meaningless. Chancellor Mothrax watched his fleet take casualties and felt ice in his crystalline heart. This was not supposed to happen. Humans were supposed to be outmatched. They were supposed to surrender when faced with overwhelming force. Instead, they fought like cornered animals. No, worse than that. They fought like a species that had nothing left to lose and everything to gain. By making their enemies suffer, then new contacts appeared on the sensors. Not human ships. Something else. A massive vessel, older than any recorded history, dropped out of faster-than-light travel between the human and Council fleets. It was a ship of the Witness, a species so ancient and powerful that even the Galactic Council feared them. They had remained neutral in all galactic conflicts for millennia. Until now. A voice, ancient and heavy with authority, broadcast to the entire solar system and beyond. This is the Witness. We have observed this conflict from its beginning. We have watched the Galactic Council ignore justice. We have watched humanity ask for peace and receive only contempt. We have watched the Council species commit atrocities and face no consequences. And now we have watched Council forces come to destroy Earth for the crime of demanding what should have been freely given. The ancient ship, powered weapons that made even human technology look primitive. We declare humanity under our protection. Any species that continues this attack will be cut off from all trade routes, all diplomatic relations, and all resources controlled by the Witness Network. You will be isolated completely until you accept that sovereignty and justice are rights, not privileges granted by the powerful. High Chancellor Mothrax felt his authority crumbling. The Witness controlled ancient trade routes that most galactic commerce depended on. Their threat was absolute. Without access to those routes, entire economies would collapse. But he had committed to this course. His pride would not let him back down. "We do not recognize your authority in this matter," Mothrax said. The Council. His words were cut off as Captain G1 activated her weapon near the Velkar homeworld sun. Just a demonstration. A small pulse of energy that made the star flare visibly from the planet below. Billions of Velkar saw their sun spike in brightness and understood how close they were to extinction. That the Velkar government immediately broke from the coalition. "We withdraw. We withdraw all forces. Do not destroy our sun." The Nomian collective saw the Velkar flee and made the same calculation. They could not risk their homeworld for council politics. The Drexian alliance, isolated now, also retreated. Within 30 minutes, the massive invasion fleet was breaking apart. ships returning home at maximum speed. Only Mothrax's personal guard fleet remained, refusing to accept defeat. Fleet Admiral Bora watched them and opened a channel. "Chancellor, your fleet is gone. Your coalition has collapsed. You can leave now with dignity, or we can destroy what remains of your forces and your reputation. Choose." Mothrax looked around his bridge at the crew members who were watching him with fear and doubt. His grand plan to crush humanity had failed. His authority was shattered. If he continued fighting, he would die here, and humanity would become martyrs. "All ships withdraw," he said finally. His voice was hollow. The remaining council forces jumped to faster-than-light speed and vanished. The Battle of Earth was over. Humanity had won, but the war for the galaxy's future was just beginning. 3 days later, a new galactic assembly was called. Not at the old council station, but at a neutral location demanded by multiple species, who had watched the conflict and decided change was necessary. The old council structure was dissolved. High Chancellor Mothrax was removed from power. Council of Renix and others who had supported the invasion of Earth faced trial for attempting genocide. Ambassador Haiyan Wu, brought back from Earth, stood before the new assembly. Humanity had earned its place not through diplomatic patience, but through strength that could not be ignored. "We did not want this war," Haiyan Wu said to the gathered representatives. "We came to you in peace. We asked for justice through your laws. You denied us. You thought our patience was weakness. You thought our desire for peace meant we could not fight." He paused, letting his words carry weight. "You were wrong. Humanity would rather burn the galaxy than kneel to those who slaughter our children. But we do not want to burn anything. We want what we always wanted: recognition, sovereignty, and justice. Not just for humans, but for every species. Because what happened to us can happen to anyone." He pulled up a holographic document. "This is the new Galactic Charter. It guarantees sovereignty for all species. It guarantees the right to self-defense without council interference. It establishes clear laws against genocide and targeting civilians. And it creates a joint military force to enforce these laws, with human tactical command ensuring that never again will justice be delayed while people die." The assembly debated for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. The old order had failed. Humanity had proven that power without justice would eventually face consequences. The new charter passed with overwhelming support. Councillor Sayajin, a human chosen to represent Earth in the new assembly, delivered humanity's final statement. "We chose peace until you made it impossible.